You've heard me, at least in the mail videos, discussing a low voltage distribution system for this shop. It's just a way of eliminating all the wall warts. I can count 9 of them right now. And there may be some hidden behind equipment racks. So what I've got is a piece of 2" by 2". That's how you define an angle. Leg by 1/8". So it's a 2 by 2 by 1/8 angle. And just to check fit to see if everything's going to work, I've attached a label to the front of the angle. And what I intend to do is put some 5.5, oh, this is wrong, 5.5 by 5.2. See, that's why you do checking. Coaxial outlets, a mixture of 5 and 12 volts. And it's more or less symmetrical, it's not quite the same length, because I've got some shelf brackets. The shelf is a 3/4" board that would be up here, the edge of the shelf. And these are holes to mount the angle to the wooden shelf. I intend to put a USB, well, quad USB outlet at each end. This is how I intend to mount this. It will be mounted something like this. With the leg of the angle extending behind the shelf. This is my 2-foot piece of aluminum. USBs are temporarily mounted. And yeah, I screwed up here. So now I need to put the front plate on it and mount all of the jacks. And I've affixed this labeling to it temporarily. At each end I have 4 of these USB ports, and they'll be obtained this way. These are all 5.5 by 2.5 coaxial power jacks. I have a couple of 3.3 volt outlets, and the other end is symmetrical with this end, a mixture of 5 volts and 12 volts. These refer to circuit numbers. And the wiring on this, along this, will look roughly like this, where not shown is the, well, shown on this side of this line is the power supplies and a bunch of circuit breakers. On the face of the power supply enclosure will be a bunch of Anderson power poles. From this line over is the wiring on this outlet plate. It'll begin with an Anderson power pole, each pair of conductors. This is a 12 volt circuit 1. It goes to one of these 4 USB out jacks, and then 3 12 volt jacks. And that would occur, say, at this end where 12-1 is here, and 12-1 is on these 3 coaxial connectors. And I follow through, look at the 5 volt, 5-1, goes to a power pole and then 4. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And the whole thing gets repeated. I'm going to have also 3 circuit breakers and power poles on the front of the enclosure that do not make it to this. And these 3 circuits will be for 13.8 volts, circuit 1, 2, and 3. And all of the wiring on this will be protected at 10 amps, while the 3 13.8 volt jacks will each have a 20 amp circuit breaker. Here's the angle, fully populated. At each end, I have a group of 4 USB power supplies. And then I've got some 5 volt coaxial jacks, 12 volt, 3.3, and some more 12s and 5s. I need to wire everything. And I need to drill a couple of holes back here for standoffs to turn this thing into a box. That is, we'll have the front face of my shelf will be here. Then we get it up front and the back. Top, of course, is the shelf. And I'll have a couple of posts up into the shelf to keep the thing from rocking. I mentioned that I was going to have to mount a spacer back here to go up and touch the underside of the shelf. I've elected to use this as a spacer. I'm going to drill 3 holes, 6 inches in from the end here. A big hole, 2 small holes. Larger than these, same size as this. And mount this like this. There'll be a number 10 sheet metal screw come the whole way from the bottom and pass through this hole and screw into the bottom of the shelf board. These 2 Piranha lamps will be powered from this USB has an output, 5 volt output, as well as an input. So I'll power these lights, and there'll be 1 at each end. I have a couple of Piranha lights under the cabinet now, and these will replace them. Here's the shelf, the 2B shelf mounted angle, USB, 5 volt outlet. This is a circuit number. This is the voltage. So this is supplied from 12.1, which is down here. And of course it supplies 5 volts. And then these are 5 volts from 5-1 circuit number, and these are 5-2 circuit number. This is the wooden block that I'm going to screw up into the underside of the shelf. And we go down here, past the midpoint. The reason that's vacant is I have some shelf brackets that are supporting the wooden shelf. Down here we have our other standoff and the under cabinet lights. We've got the circuit wires with power poles on them and the number. So for example, this would be 12-1. So here we have the 2-inch angle mounted under the shelf. Now I need to pull it up at the far end. I haven't put the screws down there yet. And the cables plug into the front of the drawer. containing the server power supplies. So we've got 5 volts in the far end, 12 volts. Underneath the scope leads is a 3.3, another group of 12, and another group of 5, with a USB at each end. Well, a USB times 4. And you see the USB has a little red light on it. That gives me lots and lots of 12 and 5 volt and 8 USBs. The fans are running in the power supplies, but they're running very slow. So that's it for the low voltage shop distribution system.